What is going on out there, peeps? Listen, I got Rice Crypto on a channel with me here. Today we're going to talk about cryptocurrencies because a lot of you are asking me about a lot of information about cryptocurrencies. And I tell you guys, I know enough to be dangerous, but this man here knows a whole lot more. So what we're going to do is we're going to launch this first video. I'm going to post it in the group, and under it, I want you guys to watch the video, then come back and ask some questions so we could revisit this again and answer some of those questions, which is what I've been doing with some of my videos. Rice, I don't know if you noticed that, but it's a great way. I launch a video, go back, look in the comments, see if there's anything I need to respond to. That's a great back and forth between me and my subscribers and those who are in my group. Rice, you just want to introduce yourself real quick to those that don't know you?
Yeah, no, I appreciate it, man. And thank you for the invitation to come on and talk about cryptocurrency. For anybody who's unfamiliar, me and you have obviously done some work together talking about NESARA and GESARA, and we just recorded something for Shadowgate. But I am a content creator and a journalist. I have my own YouTube channel. You can also find me on Library, 2 words, Rice Crypto. I go by Rice. And my channel started out about cryptocurrency and economics, basically. And then I started about 4 months ago branching out into some of the things that people would consider to be conspiracy theories, woo-woo type subjects, and even history. And I call that stranger than fiction. So I've separated my content on my YouTube channel. The Rice Crypto shows about crypto and blockchain and technology. The Rice Reports about economics and politics. And then Stranger Than Fiction is the show that I just mentioned. So it's given me an opportunity to kind of get out of the crypto echo chamber.
Yeah. Because
my problem, and we're going to talk about this, my problem is that I've been involved in cryptocurrency for over 3 years, and I got to the point where it was hard for me to dumb it down. Whereas when I first got into it, I could explain it a lot easier than.
Oh, wait, real quick. I just want to say to the people out there, I can vouch for that because when Rice is talking to me, I'm like, dude, seriously, man, talk to me like I'm a stupid second grader because you're losing me. So he does know a lot of information. And I'm like, for some of us novice, you know what I mean? Rice, we need to find a different approach. Right. So that's the whole purpose of this right here. Because I said, we start having these conversations. I said, no, let's not do this. Let's make a video because the way we're having that conversation is the way we should do the video. Like I said, like most of my people who watch my videos, I guarantee they're going to have most of the same questions I do. Mm-hmm. Or if it starts looking like what you're saying is going shoo over my head, I'm going to have to go.
As soon as I go over top of your head, stop me so we can make sure that you get a better explanation and I can explain it as simple as I possibly can. And I'm trying to get better at doing that. And what cryptocurrency is just in general is a digital currency. When you think about digital currencies, most of the currency in the world is digital. If you think about the physical amount of money that exists, it doesn't match up to the amount of digits that are in the system on the screen. Oh, yeah. So we already are dealing with digital money, especially if you get direct deposits in your bank and you go and you use your debit card at a convenience store or whatever. You're not even using cash. So it's all just transferring of digits.
Well, this brings me to the first question, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
The first question is, if we already have digital banking, why do we need cryptocurrencies?
Well, the reason that's what I was going to say, the reason why it's called crypto with the currency aspect is because it's backed by cryptography. And cryptography is a coding language that's used in computers that allows for a certain type of anonymity, but also gives what's the best word? It makes each piece of code or each piece of cryptocurrency unique in and of itself. Because like with a Bitcoin, the most confusing thing is people think they have to own a whole Bitcoin.
Yes.
But you can own less than a full anything. In the case of Bitcoin, there's 8 decimal points behind the 1.0. So if you have 1 Bitcoin, it would be 1.0. But if you had anything less, it would be 0.9, and it could be up to 8 digits behind that. So that kind of confuses people because most people are just used to 2 digits, like in the cents when you think about the US dollar. but it's a little bit different in aspect because
well, we can relate to it this way: for gold and silver stackers, if you can't afford a full ounce, we call those fractionals. So that's like owning a fraction of a cryptocurrency. Is that what you're saying?
yes, exactly.
Okay, so you don't have to, like you said. So if there's a Bitcoin's $12,000, you want to own part of a Bitcoin, you don't need all $12,000. You can just whatever part of it. If you got $10, you can buy $10 worth.
Mm-hmm.
That's like a fraction. Okay, I get that.
Yeah, now actually, and not really investment advice, but this is just pretty generic advice for any type of investing that you do. So it can't be misconstrued, but it's something that you call dollar cost averaging. And it's where you decide, and I'm pretty sure you're familiar with this term, but in the case of, we'll use Bitcoin as an example, no matter what the price of what Bitcoin is on the market value, you make a decision to yourself what you can afford to purchase on a regular basis, whether it's $10 a week, $50 every 2 weeks, $200 a month. But by purchasing whatever amount you agree to on a regular basis, you're reducing that volatility of the swings of the price going up and down, because you're averaging your buy-in price by dollar cost averaging. And you can go to a website called DCA BTC, and it's a calculator for Bitcoin. And no matter how you work this out, if you would have invested $10 a month starting in December 2017, when Bitcoin hit almost $20,000, and just continued investing $10 a month, I think right now you would be somewhere about like 65% ahead in your US dollar value price.
Sure. That's actually really smart.
And that's Bitcoin going from 20,000 to 3,200 to 14 to 6 to 12, so whenever it's doing that and you're buying in at those different increments on whatever you're buying, whatever cryptocurrency you decide that you want to invest in, the dollar cost average method, I think, is one of the best ways for long-term holders that aren't just trying to look for like instant profits or who don't know anything about trading, because trading is a complicated game.
Yeah, it's tricky. So actually, this is one of the closest things I could relate it to. It's like, and I'm sure you guys, crypto people, experience this as well. So I'm telling people, when you watch the market, you can't get overly excited when the value goes up, and you can't get all bummed out when it goes down, because you make poor decisions on buying and selling. And so, I tell people, buy on the dip is the best thing to do. But what you're talking about is a really nice strategy. But the hard part is, and I'm sure like people who invest in cryptocurrencies, if they start putting money into it and then all of a sudden it drops down 25%, they panic and they sell. Like with gold and silver, I said, look, they're like, I lost so much money. I go, you didn't lose anything until you sell it. That's not a loss. That just means it went down.
People need to take emotions out. And when you make a strategy, you need to stick to your strategy. You need to make sure you research and stick to your strategy and come up with an exit plan. But I mean, I think that those, and the other thing that's, I think, the difference with the cryptography based currencies like cryptocurrency versus what you have in your bank account is what you have in your bank account can just be taken away. If the government decided to, and I'm sure people who watch this have had instances where something has happened and they've owed money and your bank account got frozen. With your Bitcoin account, or depending on which cryptocurrency you're using, you're not going to have that issue. It's your money. You're not going to have anybody be able to take your funds unless you improperly give out your private information that secures your cryptocurrencies.
Yeah, it's funny because this guy says
security is another thing that we could do a whole episode about security. Because security is super, super important, because people have to take responsibility for themselves, and that's not something that people are used to doing.
Yeah. No, it's funny because this guy hits me up, and I like I said, I know enough to be dangerous. And I said, he's like, it's hard for me to keep money in my bank account because he owes on child support. And I says, yeah. He goes, so if I keep it in a cryptocurrency and they can't take it, I started laughing. I go, well, I get where you're coming from. Not that I want to encourage that, but yeah. I mean, if you wanted to be safe, I guess you could do that. I mean, that's the truth. But, I don't want people going, well, hell, man, this is a good way to keep, somebody from taking my money out of my bank account. We're not encouraging that.
No, but money is a tool. US dollar bills are a tool. So it depends on how somebody wants to use those tools. All we're doing is teaching people information that could be helpful to them, and however they decide to use this information is up to them. Now, there are cryptocurrencies that are called stable coins that are more representative to the US dollar or pegged 1-for-1 to the US dollar. So it actually has that backing. So it doesn't have that volatility. So, I mean, you could essentially use a stable coin and it still be like putting your money in a bank account with the US dollar, and you don't have to worry about the volatility. That's where some people, when they swing trade, will swing trade from a specific cryptocurrency into a stable coin, which represents a dollar. And then, you know, if you swing trade and you sell at a high, when it goes back down, you buy back in, and you're just accumulating your stack.
No, you know,
Or
it's
you
but
can take some profit.
I think what you just brought up a little bit, I like the idea of, because that's what I was doing. So if your money's just sitting in your bank account, it's just sitting there. It's not doing anything. You could do the same thing more safely inside a stable coin, but you can actually take your money and diversify it amongst a few of the cryptocurrencies, and it actually accumulate interest, or not interest, but you know, well, now
Well, you
there's a
can
compound
accumulate
coin now.
interest,
Yeah.
not
So
just
one of them
compound, but
does.
with stable coins. There are some services that allow you, by storing your coins in their wallets, that
Yeah.
you would, and they're custodial services, not non-custodial. So they're the ones who are responsible for your funds when they have them. But you can actually earn interest and earn a lot more than
Yeah,
you
a
would
lot more.
earn on a typical savings account or even a CD. So it's really, and then there's, in another episode that we could talk about, there are some coins that are proof of stake coins, which is what Ethereum is trying to work towards. And when you
Yeah.
stake coins, you're helping to secure the network. And by doing that, you're rewarded in a dividend of sorts. And there's different coins that do that. But today I know that we wanted to kind of focus on Bitcoin, Ethereum, and XRP, because a lot of people have XRP questions. There's a lot of XRP stuff going on. And those are kind of actually, they're the top 3 cryptocurrencies. If you look at any particular
Yeah.
cryptocurrency website, I prefer one called CoinGecko as opposed to CoinMarketCap. And I'll do a quick screen share so people can see what I'm talking about. And it will also show you that right here, you see Bitcoin, Ethereum, and XRP. These are the top 3 cryptocurrencies. Number 4 is Tether, and that is a stable coin. Chainlink, when you said that Ethereum has been on a run, my friend, Chainlink is on an incredible run. In 7 days, do you see the percentage gain here?
I've seen it. It was, I think, on average, like 12% a day or something like that for a little while. I was like,
It's
what the
up
hell?
7 days, 90%. I saw it like 3 months ago, and I thought about buying it at $2.15, and I
I
didn't.
thought about it. I didn't.
I didn't.
No.
And that's the thing about crypto, isn't the I should have, could have, would have.
Can't do that.
No, and you really got to take the emotion out of play. But so Bitcoin.
Yeah, I mean, I went all in on Ethereum. I mean, seriously, I have 35 of them bad boys. But, you know, back then I had like 51,000 XLMs. I had, you know, all kinds of, scattered around a little bit in all the normal ones. But, you know, again, I just, something about Ethereum that I really liked. And I went all in when it was like, I think $177 or whatever it was. And so
No,
I just
Ethereum,
moved.
I mean, I think Ethereum are definitely, it's what Ethereum is trying to achieve is definitely an awesome idea. And if they can get through the scalability issues, which is what Ethereum 2.0 is about, and scalability for people who are unfamiliar is just how many people are able to access this technology at the same time without the system crashing. I'm sure
Aren't they
people
doing
have
some type of testing right now? Some kind of beta test?
well, they have a test net, and it's basically like a clone of the Ethereum blockchain, but it's not the public version, and it allows them to be able to test things out to make sure things would work properly. And then when it goes through the test net successfully is when they would actually implement these different changes on the actual
here's a
Ethereum
question
blockchain.
for you. Oh, here's a question. I noticed that XRP has partnered up with the Fed, and it looks like Ethereum with the Treasury. Do you find that interesting at all? Why would they do it that way? It would seem to me would probably want to use one, not two separate platforms.
Well, I'm not sure that Fed now are going to 100% be using Ripple or XRP. And there's a difference in the two. Ripple is the company, XRP is the token. And there's not really even a use case for the XRP token, really. You don't need it with the things. Now, I'll go into like difference of what the three are, but Ethereum, and we'll get into it because I mean, this will explain the treasury.
Yeah, you know what? I got us off track. Sorry about that. Let's get back to just the basics. Okay. So, what's the difference between centralized and decentralized?
Centralized would be where it's controlled by one person or a small group of people that have control of what takes place. And pretty much our government system is centralized. Most everything that you see in the world are centralized. For something to be decentralized would be taking that power and distributing it. So in the case of like a cryptocurrency, distributing it by having all these different nodes and networks that make up the network. So it's distributing the actual power. So no one person or no group can control. Now, when you're dealing with a smaller capped cryptocurrency, that can be a different issue because it's easy to manipulate the system if you have enough computing power. But is
that where you get into that whole pumping and dumping?
The pumping and dumping thing would be more of where just somebody's trying to hype up a project or a coin just so that they can try to sell off that coin at a certain rate where there's and a
so
pump
it's not
and
the
dump
same thing.
Usually like Chainlink isn't a pump and dump. It's pumping. It's not dumping. They're backing up a lot of what they're doing with their technology. They're kind of like an Oracle service for blockchains.
So here's my question on the, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no problem.
I keep interrupting you.
Well, I'll tell you what, let me just do a quick explanation of Bitcoin, Ethereum, and XRP to explain the difference. So Bitcoin is a decentralized cryptocurrency. It's uncensorable, it's immutable. And those are pretty self-explanatory words. It's a peer-to-peer cash system, or it's a store of wealth, depending on how do you want to utilize it. But it is the most secure decentralized network. It still has more miners, more hash power, and it is dominating the markets. With that being said, there are other cryptocurrencies that are trying to either do what Bitcoin was trying to do, but better, or there's different cryptocurrencies that are trying to just do different type of projects, different type of use cases. In the sense of Ethereum is now decentralized. It wasn't as decentralized when it first started, and neither was Bitcoin because it was just a small group of people, but it took this amount of time for it to start distributing and people started using it. And once it started getting out and people started using it, it was out of the control of the person who created it. So Satoshi really wouldn't be able to do anything with the Bitcoin protocol unless everybody agreed for things to be done. It has to have consensus. There's a group of coders called Bitcoin Core that decide the future of what takes place and what they're going to be building on Bitcoin. So there's this guy named Vitalik Buterin. He's the creator of Ethereum. There's other people that were involved in helping him to create it ultimately, but he's the founder, the visionary. And he was like 17, 18 years old.
Yeah, he's young. Yeah, I saw a video on him. He still looks young today.
I interviewed his dad on my YouTube channel, and his dad's pretty cool. But what happened was he used to write for Bitcoin Magazine and was involved in doing journalism in regards to Bitcoin. And he had come up with some ideas and proposed it to the Bitcoin Core group, and they basically rejected his ideas. And because of that, he took those ideas and started to build Ethereum. So Ethereum was basically building itself to be a decentralized internet, like a world computer that has a distributed network and that people can build on, like websites, decentralized applications, smart contracts, games, NFTs, which are non-fungible tokens, which right now you can have digital cards. The NFTs can be used for a lot of different things to represent different things like concert tickets, rewards points for somebody. But the collectible thing is really cool. Like they just brought back Garbage Pail Kid cards in a digital form, and they're built on the Wax blockchain. And it's different because you can have animated cards as opposed to
I
just a
have.
card. I'm
I
pretty
just
sure you
picked up
have
my,
Garbage Pail Kid cards,
no,
don't you?
seriously, because I just picked up my, for like 20 years, I collected sports cards, memorabilia, everything. And so my uncle was holding it for me, and he held it for 25 years. I just got them all back over here, and I started going through them, and right away, as soon as he said that, it's funny, I go, what the hell? I saw Garbage Pail Kids, like Series 1 when it first came out, have a ton of them. And I'm like, you know what I mean? It's funny you said that. So I was like, are you kidding me? I got them right here.
Now they've, instead of the next upgrade in technology and society is instead of collecting these physical cards that age, no matter how well you take care of your cards there, Pimpy, that paper is still going to age unless you keep it in some kind of airproof, like.
That's what we do. You send them in to get graded. They put them in these capsules.
Yeah.
Like your comic books, the same way I got
They air seal it. They air seal it so it doesn't have oxygen, doesn't get affected by the temperature.
And it's got a slight tint over it, so it doesn't turn colors. The whole 9 yards.
But if they were digital, you wouldn't have that problem. So that's the next evolution, and that's one of the things that Ethereum allows. Now, also,
well, wait a minute. So here's the confusion, because when you first told me about this, I was confused. So when people think of cryptocurrencies, you know, you're thinking of these digital monies, but you said Ethereum. You're building like a type of internet, and that kind of threw me for a loop. I was like, well, what do you mean? Could you just please explain a little bit more on that so people understand? There's more to it.
When I said Bitcoin is a peer-to-peer cash system or store of wealth, that would be more of what we think about as US dollars or gold, kind of that comparison. Now, not that Ethereum itself couldn't be used as a currency, but the purpose of it was to fuel the network. So anything that you do, like if you want to load a website or a smart contract or a decentralized application, you're paying a certain amount of Ethereum to keep your information available and put it on there and to have the computing power. So that's what's really interesting about it. And these were the things that they were trying to do with Bitcoin. But again, it was not something that the core development team accepted, and Vitalik decided to go ahead and just create Ethereum. But ultimately, if you go on any sort of websites, and I had pulled something up, and I'll send you the link to it so you can put it together, but it's from a website called CoinDesk, and they do a complete rundown of like what Ethereum is. But they say here, the world computer. In short, Ethereum wants to be a world computer that would decentralize, and some would argue democratize the existing client server model. With Ethereum, servers and clouds are replaced by thousands of so-called nodes run by volunteers from across the globe, thus forming a world computer. The vision is that Ethereum would enable this same functionality to people anywhere around the world, enabling them to compete to offer services on top of this infrastructure. So Ethereum is this like infrastructure that people can build on top of this world internet. That's ultimately what they're trying to do with it. That's why I was telling you with certain cryptocurrency wallets, you can view Web 3.0 web pages. These are web pages that you can't access through a regular browser. And so they're actually this Web 3.0, and that's kind of the world computer, the distributed internet system that they're trying to create would be that kind of same idea. And then now when I talk about there being different types of tokens that could be built on Ethereum, just like different types of applications, one of those is like you've heard of Tron and EOS. When they first started, they actually were a token built on the Ethereum blockchain. And there's different, and so it's programmable tokens that you can make different purposes for. But it's utilizing, so not every cryptocurrency has its own blockchain. Some cryptocurrencies are actually building off and piggybacking off of other, like Chainlink is a token that's built off the Ethereum protocol. It's an ERC20 token. So it's actually built on, and what it's one of the things that it's trying to do is help to improve the scalability and some of the issues of cross-chain, like from different blockchains talking to other blockchains, because there's not one blockchain. So the Ethereum blockchain.
I want to see if I can. I want to make sure that I understand this. So the token. Let's just pretend like I have, I built on this platform Ethereum.
Mhm.
and I build a Pimpy's arcade. Kids can come in and play the games online. But I could build a Pimpy token so they can use them to play games. Is that what you're talking about? Would be one of the uses for a token. So
Yeah, so
it's
you could create,
specifically
yeah,
for.
you could create your gaming platform, and in order
Mhm.
for people to be able to play your games, they have to use the Pimpy token or whatever it is.
Okay, I see that.
So
Okay, I
it
thought that's
creates
what
a
you do.
use case, and that's where you got to look at like what was the use case, how was it created, and that's where the SEC and the regulation come in with something being unregulated security. So if you got a token that's doesn't have any use, like if you create the Pimpy token and
Mhm.
its only use is inside of the Pimpy game world, then it has no value outside of the Pimpy game world. And it's only used to fuel that system. Sort of how Ethereum is used to fuel its system. And then you could build on top of it. Now, if you do that, I mean, so in order to send Pimpy tokens, you would have to use get like Ethereum as your transaction fee. It wouldn't be using Pimpy tokens
Mhm.
because you're building it off the Ethereum blockchain.
Oh, okay.
So you can have, in a sense, programmable tokens. And one of the token models that they have that just came up recently is something that the SEC is very much loves, and it's a security-based token. And it allows for the token to be recalled, kind of like bank accounts being frozen and things like
I see.
that. They
Yeah.
can block addresses and have more control over that. Um, so it's pretty interesting. And then a lot of the stable coins that are built are using the Ethereum blockchain, like Tether. They actually
Mhm.
use multiple different blockchains, but USDC, which is created by Circle Invest, that was backed by Goldman Sachs. They get audited. They have a 1-for-1 ratio. For every one USDC token, there's $1 out there for it. So, and it's built on the Ethereum blockchain. So in order for me to send, there's a transaction fee that comes out of that.
Mhm.
So it's pretty interesting. And that's the reason why the Treasury and SEC is pro Ethereum, because of the fact that you could build a lot of these central bank digital currencies that you're hearing about, like in China and
Yeah.
things, like they could be building these on Ethereum. There's the Ethereum Enterprise Alliance, which is the largest conglomeration in the world of companies that are trying to build this world computer together and all contribute to it. And with that being said, I mean, they're creating partnerships with Microsoft, MasterCard, Visa, Bank of America, JP Morgan. A lot of the people I'm not really big fans of
No,
necessarily,
as you're saying them, I'm like, I don't know this. You
but
know, we talked about this.
even the old system has infiltrated itself into cryptocurrencies, and they're trying to make the traditional legacy system relevant in the new coming blockchain cryptocurrency world. If
Well,
that makes
I
any
expressed
sense.
my concern to you before, and I said I wouldn't support any 100% cashless society at all. I don't like the idea that if I don't like what's going on, I can safely take my money out and I would feel safe having it versus leaving it somewhere where, if anything, we've learned that our government can't be trusted at all. So if
Oh,
we're
come on, dude. It
100%
can.
digital, huh?
You don't
Yeah,
trust the government?
yeah, good Lord. It's about as much I trust this white waller next door with my Chihuahua. You know what I mean? So yeah, I just, if we have a combination of digital currency that I can cash in for an asset-backed currency, I would be okay with that. But if they're trying to push us into a 100% digital currency, I don't trust it at all.
Well, I've told you that too. I'm not a fan of going cashless. When you think about this, that's giving total surveillance, no privacy. If we go to a digital system where there's no cash, if you owe taxes or you have a fine, it could just be taken out of your account, period. So, and then
Yeah, or
if
if the
you,
government wants the masses to do something, they just cut your money off. What happens if you have a power outage? You know what I mean?
right.
All these
So
different things that come up.
the government is the centralized system, the old
Yeah.
legacy system, the central banks. That's the centralized, controlled, manipulated systems. That's the systems that I would like to think that most of your viewers, that me and I'd like to think you are trying to get away from. So the new system would
Yep.
be decentralized, where everything is distributed, where everything's open source, community driven. Open source means that with Bitcoin, you can go to websites like GitHub, which is a code repository. It's where all the coders put all their code for people to go and look at and inspect to make sure everything's good, that there's no discrepancies in the code that could be manipulated to screw people over. That's the cool thing about open source technology. And then you could take that same code. I could take the code that Satoshi Nakamoto, the person or group that created Bitcoin, and I could use that code and create the Rice token or the Rice coin. So you could take I could take Ethereum's technology, all the open source code, and create my own and make changes or improvements. That's how Litecoin was created. Litecoin
so is that
was
where
created
the
from the
transparency
protocol of
comes in for this,
Bitcoin
in your opinion? Oh,
What's that?
sorry. No, I was just saying, is this where the transparency of this comes in? Is the fact that you have open source, people who know what they're looking at could tell if somebody's trying to do something sneaky on there.
That's
is that
one
what that
aspect
is?
of it. That's one aspect. But also, if you think of a blockchain itself, you can use blockchain without cryptocurrencies, but you really technically can't use cryptocurrencies without blockchain, technically.
Nope.
Now,
Okay.
with that being said, the idea of a blockchain is kind of, if you're familiar with the idea of accounting, of a debit credit system, a plus and minus,
Yep.
it's basically an open ledger, because an accounting system is a ledger. So a blockchain is just an open, transparent ledger. You can see every bit of information. You can see every transaction in the case of Bitcoin from the very beginning by following to the very first Genesis block, the very first block of the Bitcoin blockchain. That was mined in like January of 2009 was when the first Bitcoin was created and the blockchain started. And it started with one block, and then every 10 minutes, a new block would be created. And then those chain of blocks would just be called that blockchain. And it's just an open ledger. So it's not completely anonymous. So when people think that it could be used for nefarious activities,
Yeah.
it's pseudo-anonymous, meaning that you can use tools, and their government has tools using chain analysis where they can figure out your IP address. They can, especially if you have a donation, like your Pimpy has a Bitcoin donation address. That's a public address. Now everybody knows it. They can look it up. They can find what your balance is. So if you're not like being discreet on how you're doing your things, then everything that you have is publicly available to people. It doesn't have your name on it. Doesn't say Pimpy's Bitcoin, but it's going to be attached to your IP address, to your phone IP. There's going to be ways to attach it to you with digital signatures that doesn't make it completely anonymous, if that makes sense.
So here's another question that I have. Because people, the concern for everybody, what is a wallet, and what about the way you hold it on, let's just use Coinbase, and you hear all these rumors about people hacking and stuff like that. And so how does one protect their cryptos from being hacked or stolen or even confiscated? Let's just say, for me, I have a thing called a nano ledger. Is that, in your opinion, the safest way?
A ledger, a nano ledger, ledger nano is a hardware wallet. So hardware wallets are going to be your most secure way, especially the older hardware wallets that have been proven to not have any issues or any type of flaws that have already been fixed, because there are companies that have bugs, and sometimes things don't always work out how things want, but then you find a bug, you fix it, and you get past it. But we can do a whole episode about wallet security, but the basic thing is something like Coinbase is a custodial service. It's like a bank account. They're going to hold your cryptocurrencies for you. All you need to know is your password and your account information. They don't give you a backup. They don't give you a private key. So a private key is when I was mentioning your public address, you have two cryptographic keys that are associated with your account, and one would be a public key and one would be a private key. The public key is what everybody knows to send you your funds and all that. If you give somebody your private keys, then they have access to your account. It's like giving somebody your debit card and PIN number. So
Yeah.
now there are other wallets, like I'm sponsored by a company named Monarch, and Monarch has their own wallet. It's not a custodial wallet. It's non-custodial. So when you start to wallet up, it's going to have you write down a 12 or 24 word recovery phrase, which would actually end up being a way for you to recover your private key. So the most important thing is making sure that you're writing down your email that you're using for whatever, or your username, that you're writing down your password, that you're writing down any pin numbers, and that you're being very specific in that if you're having a non-custodial wallet where you possess your private keys, that you write your backup phrases. Put these in a safe place. Because the problem is, if you think about this is the problem. People don't write down that information.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, I got hacked. No, you just don't know how to access your account because you forgot your information. And they told you that they wouldn't be able to give you your password, that you need to know your password because they don't have your password. So they can't help you recover it. So they said for you to write it down.
That's important for people to know. What you just said right there is the company that holds your cryptos don't know your password, so you can't just call them up.
Not in every instance. Not in every instance. Now with Coinbase, I believe that you can do a password recovery. I don't think you can do it through the typical traditional fashion that you would, like send an email and you'll get a link to your email address and then you follow these steps. You might have to talk to a customer service rep or get with somebody, but I think that them being a centralized entity in that case would have that information. But with Monarch as the other example, or Exodus wallet where you possess your private keys, they are not going to have, let's just put it this way. If it's a custodial service, more than likely they're going to have your information, but you need to get in the habit of writing your stuff down. Because if you think about how many times, Pimpy, how many times have you forgotten a password to a social media account or an email address?
No, because I learned to write it down a long time ago.
Well, that's the problem. People say they learn, but they don't learn and they don't write it down. They get lazy and then something happens. Now, the only way you're going to get hacked is if you're being irresponsible with how you're using your computers and or giving your information out. I had a friend of mine that said he had lost some money and he was involved in an MLM thing. And he explained everything to me. He was using a decentralized, non-custodial wallet, and he didn't know about the security protocols. And the person that he was talking to asked him to send him some information from the wallet. And he did. And then when he did, it was like him giving them his debit card and his PIN number. And they took all of his money. And he wanted to know how to get it back. I said, so when you go down the street and you just give some random dude your debit card and your PIN number, and he goes and cleans out your bank account, you now want your money back? Like, is that how this works? I think that once you kind of give out your debit card and your PIN number, you're screwed.
Yeah, there's no getting it back. So, okay, let's just pretend, let's just kind of go through a small scenario. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. You know what I mean? I got $100 I want to invest in cryptos. It doesn't make one. We could just pick one. You know what I mean? So I say, look, I watch, Rice and Pimpy's video. I think I want to get some cryptocurrencies. Can we walk them through a simple, for beginners, a simple scenario in which they can go start purchasing cryptocurrencies?
Yeah, there's two ways. I always encourage people to start off with either Coinbase, and now you got Cash App available. And I know you're going to have PayPal and Venmo offering these services here pretty soon. But Coinbase is kind of what I call the training wheels, the way everybody should start, because it's a custodial service. You don't have your private keys. It's an exchange. You can do everything in the wallet. I just don't recommend people leaving their funds long term in a wallet that you don't have your private keys of. That is custodial. So in the case of Coinbase, when your coins are in a Coinbase wallet, not your private keys, not your crypto. So it's actually going to be in their possession. But once you set up an account with either Coinbase or Cash App will only limit you to Bitcoin. So if you're only interested in just Bitcoin, Cash App would be a lot easier of a way. You can buy, sell, send, and receive using Cash App. There's a credit card built into it, so you can actually take your Bitcoin on the spot. You can sell your Bitcoin, turn it into cash, and use your Visa cash card. No issue. Now, Coinbase will probably offer a credit card service. They had one in the past, but now that banks are allowed to custody cryptos, and now that Visa and MasterCard are getting fully involved, I even heard Litecoin's going to be, the Litecoin Foundation is getting ready to launch a credit card. So you're going to essentially be able to take your Litecoin, exchange it out in the wallet, and turn it into US dollars and be able to spend it for people that don't want to receive Litecoin directly.
Have you ever seen that metal card, and in there has all the different cryptocurrencies, and you can, it downloads or holds it for you, and you can actually use it like a credit card and select which cryptocurrency you want to use.
No, you have to tell me about that
to make your purchase. Have you seen that card?
No, you're going to share some more, but I'm going to finish with this. What
Yeah,
you asked me about the Coinbase.
I saw that. Yeah.
So either way, whether you're using Coinbase or you're using Cash App, you're going to have to go through their KYC process, which is something that's required in the United States under anything that's dealing with banking. It's know your customer and anti-money laundering laws, AML laws. So it's required that you give your ID, prove your address. They might ask for a copy of like a utility, your ID, and maybe even a picture of you holding your ID. And then you would link up your bank accounts. And once you do that, you're good to go. You can deposit money into your Coinbase account, or in the case of Cash App, it's linked to your bank account. So if you want to buy $100 worth of Bitcoin, you just buy $100 worth of Bitcoin through Cash App. It takes it out of your bank account. Or if you already have money in your Cash App, take it out of that. Same thing with Coinbase. But once you have your funds, once you're able to go through the KYC process and get your account set up and approved, and what I'll tell you, Pimpy, is if you have a Coinbase account, make sure you include in the link down below your referral link. Because if anybody uses your referral link down below, once you deposit more than $100 or more in your account, then both you and the person you're referring will get $10 in Bitcoin. So it's a way to accumulate Bitcoin. And that's another thing too. In a future episode,
I've used that. I put that in there. I ready to follow that link.
I could talk about ways in a future episode of ways people can accumulate cryptocurrencies for free, basically, to get started and to earn without actually having to invest their own money.
No, I think what you just said is a good idea, where we come in and talk about the different options out there. Like you said, we start talking about, actually I started to read about on Coinbase, that compound coin, ways where people can make more money than just leaving their damn money in a bank account. I mean, these things pay interest. You know what I mean? Sure, the other ones are they have a lot of volatility to them, but there's ones out there where you could just leave your money there and it accumulates, some interest.
Real quick, I want to touch on, because we kind of talked about what Bitcoin and Ethereum is. I want to kind of touch on what XRP is. Now, I myself am not a big fan of XRP in any capacity. XRP is completely centralized. It's basically very much the old system trying to stay relevant. If you're familiar, if any of your viewers are familiar with the SWIFT payment system, are you familiar with that? How we transfer money around the world. They're just trying to be a faster replacement for it, because if we know anything about how the SWIFT system works and how all it takes, it's very time consuming. It's very expensive. It goes through a long channel of people before it gets to where it needs to go. So that's really all it was a remittance service that was supposed to replace the SWIFT system inside of the new era. Now, as long as it's existed, it hasn't been embraced that much. XRP tokens don't even have a use case really within anything they're doing. One thing that I think is really interesting is it says that Ripple is the company for XRP. So XRP doesn't actually use a blockchain, but it uses a distributed consensus ledger because it's a centralized company. They actually own 60% of the supply of their coins. So they and by people investing into XRP, all you're really doing is just investing in the old legacy financial system.
Well, that explains why they got so many deals with different banks around the world.
Yeah, because all they're trying to do is become a replacement for the Swift system. Now, but
Got you.
Chainlink have actually, and this is, I'm not a big fan of this either, but Chainlink are trying to recreate the Swift system with smart contracts using the Ethereum network. You know, because we could replace politicians with smart contracts. There's
That
a
might
whole
be a
lot
good
of,
idea.
we can automate Congress and Senate, because if you think about those things when it comes to voting, the reason we vote for politicians is to represent your vote. But with blockchain technology, we could actually have a voting system that couldn't be hacked, that couldn't be manipulated. Each person in the United States that has a social security number could have a token that's cryptographically got your social security number in it, so that you can only vote one time and no
I
one
love
else
it.
can vote for you. And so taking out the congressmen and the senators and replacing them with smart contracts and automating the whole thing and allowing us to vote for what we want to take place. We can minimize and keep the government down to what our founding fathers wanted, which was not a powerful monster that it's become now.
No, I mean, its sole purpose was just to make sure that the people were protected and the laws were being followed. Now it's a complete damn mess, to be honest.
And the other thing
Won't
too
go
with
crazy in that.
XRP, you know, is like with Bitcoin and Ethereum, because Ethereum right now is a proof of work coin and it requires miners to do the process of completing the transactions of building the blockchain. So every block, I think it's like 5 new Ethereum are created and rewarded to the miner that helps that block to be created and added to the blockchain. In the case of Bitcoin, every 10 minutes, it's like 6.25 right now are being created every 10 minutes. And every 4 years, in the case of Bitcoin, that amount goes down by half. We just recently had a halving event.
Yeah.
So it's very deflationary, whereas the US dollar is inflationary. So everything you're seeing with the dollar losing value because of printing up so many dollars and devaluing the currency with the inflation over the years. From 1913, we've lost like 97% purchasing power. And then right now they're printing up more money in 2020 than they did to save us from the crash in 2008. So everything that they're doing is the opposite of what Bitcoin itself was designed to be. It was actually, it came out of the fiery ashes of 2008. The white paper was released on Halloween 2008. And it was like almost like a gift to get us away from fiat government controlled central bank system. So it's right now is like,
well, then your fees are cheaper and you get rewarded more money, you know what I mean? Versus you guys using overhead expenses, transaction fees, you know what I mean? And all the other crap they do to take your money from you.
I want people to really think about the XRP thing though, because I've been hearing so much stuff about XRP. People are like, because it's like 30 cents and people are saying it's going to go up to $5. I showed you, Pimpy, where Chainlink 3 months ago was $2.15. And now it's like right at like $19, almost $20. So it's had I took a screenshot of this. In
90%, is that what you said?
In 3 months' time, it's had a 407% increase. It went from the low. It says the low in 3 months' time from today's date was 355. So I was wrong on my date. So it was probably 4 months ago. It was like the 215. But 3 months ago, it was $3.35. Today, it's $19.18.
So had people push money into it? What was it? You said 3 months ago? Let's say you
3
put
months ago, if you would have put $100 into Chainlink 3 months ago, that $100 would be worth $400, a little over $400 right now. Had you done that with XRP, it'd probably be worth about the same. Now, I just want people to realize investing in XRP is investing in that debt-based slave system. So do you like being a slave?
System.
Do you like being a slave?
No,
because if you do, then go ahead and invest in XRP.
Hey, so another one I want to talk about real quick, if you don't mind, is I noticed that the rapper Akon has created the A coin.
Mm-hmm.
And people don't know this, but he's having a city built in Kenya, and it's going to be running off the Akon coin.
Yeah.
And that's off the XLM, isn't it?
I think they partnered up with Stellar, XL and
Yeah.
Stellar, to build off of their network, kind of like how others like Chainlink are building on Ethereum. So every different blockchain has some of those capabilities of building. Africa has Africa, South America, and lots of Asian countries have a lot of big use case for blockchain and cryptocurrencies. I mean, especially when you think of like Zimbabwe and the government and their money and
Oh
stuff
yeah,
like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
You know, cryptocurrencies definitely came into play, but they don't have very much. Internet's not everywhere. Electricity is not everywhere. Banks are very minimal. So there's a lot of things that people in Africa don't have advantages of. So you got people like Jack Dorsey from Twitter that's going to be going out to Africa doing some things. Akon was donated land. If it is Kenya, it's the king of that area. Some royalty
He got
donated.
permission for it.
They donated this land to create this technological city.
Yeah.
And one of the things too, though, that Akon has been doing is supplying electricity to villages, supplying internet to villages. I mean, if he wanted to create his own ecosystem and allow people in the African nations want to utilize Akon's Acoin as their means of transacting, there's certain, you know, to be able to purchase services and goods and services and trade value, then that all anything on this planet, the only reason it has value is because people give it value. Gold
Yeah,
and
I say that all the
silver,
time. Yeah.
they're very pretty. They're very, very pretty. And they might have some use cases, but they're not worth shit unless people say it's worth something. Like really nothing on this planet is a
Did you
real.
say gold and silver has no value? They have the use cases. Silver is second in commercial uses only
Well,
to
no, like I
oil.
said though, but when it comes to like it being worth $2,000 an ounce for gold or something like that, I'm not saying. What I'm saying is the only reason it's worth two thousand
It's got
dollars
a
an ounce is because
6,000
we.
year record of being a safe haven is why I think people go to it. It's always that safe fallback is what people think.
I would love a world where we don't need money. Wouldn't that be great?
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about it's called a Venus project. I don't know if you ever looked into that. This
Yeah,
guy
the
had this
zeitgeist
idea of a
stuff.
utopia city. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's an interesting concept. But you know, I mean, ultimately with cryptocurrency, I just felt like it takes the power away from the people who have the power and distribute it. And in the case of what Akon is doing in Africa, I think it's very commendable.
Yeah.
If he gets richer in the process, more power to him, because
Yeah.
all he's doing is helping people in the process. He's not screwing people over to make money or anything like that.
No, I don't think so.
And really, when you think about Akon himself, because I know a little bit, I know you know a little bit about the music industry, and I used to sing, and I've got an idea of how things happen and how the industry works. And Akon was successful on his own as a musician, but Akon signed an artist that he's good for the rest of his life because of this one artist that he signed.
T-Pain.
Lady Gaga.
Oh, you also signed T-Pain.
Yeah, but he signed Lady
Remember
Gaga.
T-Pain got offered to go somewhere else? Yeah, Lady Gaga's big.
Huge.
Yeah, and T-Pain too. T-Pain's not small. T-Pain was supposed to go to these big time record places, and he went and talked to Akon. Akon's like, look, let's do this. He's like, let's do it. And he signed with Akon. So he's got two good artists. I don't know how many artists he's got, to be honest.
Akon's smart. I mean, he's been putting out music periodically, but it's just not on his forefront because he's just become such a businessman. And
no, he's a mogul. Yeah.
And it's like it's when you really think about this, it's almost like Wakanda from the Black Panther movie in a way.
Yeah.
And it's kind of in a way
idea.
what he's trying to do, it's really cool. I mean, I think I got to commend anybody who's trying to be able to help the people that need help, because one of the things in cryptocurrency we talk about is being your own bank. But here in the United States, people don't want to be responsible for their own money. They're used to banks doing it for them. People don't even have a check book where they're using a ledger system. When I mention the word ledger, some people are like, what the hell is a ledger?
Yeah, but you hit something right on the head. And that is this. People have become so lazy and allow so much of our personal life to be managed one way or another by other people that now these people are so corrupt, they use that against us. And it's sad. It really is. I don't like what's going on, but it's only going to get worse before it gets better.
It is only if people don't stand up and do something about it, because the time is now. And I mean, this would be a good time to wrap up this video, but I do want to let people know that we would like to keep doing these kind of conversations and try to make an episode about something specific, whether it's a Q&A, whether it's going over security, talking about different exchanges, ways that you can earn cryptocurrency for free. And I definitely encourage people to check out my channel. I've got playlists that I've created with all my interviews and all my cryptocurrency videos that I separate the content. And I've interviewed, in case you don't know this, Pimpy, I've interviewed people like Andreas Antonopoulos, who's written books about Bitcoin and Ethereum, is one of the most well-known names. He's been on Joe Rogan's show and several other
you did
big
somebody
shows.
funner than that.
Well, I mean, I've had John McAfee on several times, but I'm talking about the cryptocurrency. I interviewed Charlie Lee, the creator of Litecoin. I've had this guy named Fluffy Pony, who was a lead developer for Monero, which is a privacy coin.
Okay.
And the privacy coins is something that
we
can do
started
an
to move a little
episode
bit. I
about.
saw it with you.
What's that?
Of course, you also interviewed one of my heroes, of course, in gold and silver.
Lynette Zhang.
Lynette Zhang, yeah.
And I have a playlist for all my Lynette Zhang interviews. And I told you, dude, like I'm actually gonna have her back on. I think it's next Thursday. I'm interviewing her. And
man, if you could swing away where I could be on it with you, that would be so freaking great. Because I don't, for you guys out there, you guys know this on my channel, I'm so behind in knowledge when it comes to creating, live videos or anything like that. I just do these very simplistic videos. I want
everybody watching this right now, if you want Pimpy to spend time to learn how to do live videos and do some other things to spice up the game, I and one of his friends have offered to help him. All he has to do is accept the invitation and spend a little bit of time to learn it. So if you want Pimpy to learn, comment down below.
Yeah, so look, guys, I'm gonna have Rice's link to his YouTube channel in my description. But yeah, so what happens is he knows I do this. Once I start like investigating or looking into something, once I'm into it, like I told him, the rest of the world, nothing matters. I'm so busy trying to go through so much stuff and just get an idea of what I want to talk about.
Then hire somebody.
Yeah,
you can hire somebody to basically run your stuff for you, and all you have to do is just sign in and appear. You can have somebody run your live streams for you.
No, listen to this. People think I'm crazy. I absolutely control all aspects of I have 2 YouTube channels, 2 Facebook groups that accompany them. So I'm in between texting, PMing, my 2 groups, notifications, my YouTube channels, responding. I do it all by myself.
I know you hardly enter text. You take forever to respond back to an actual text.
Sorry about that. Yeah. The funny thing is, if people knew how many of my subscribers I've actually given my phone number to, it blows their mind. They're like, "Wow, I mean, you actually called?" I'm like, "Yeah, when I can get around to it. Sorry, I'll try to answer your questions." But yeah, you'd be surprised. I do that because, I tell everybody, look, we're all in the same boat. We're all trying to accomplish the same goals. I'm trying to make sure we all get there together. And so, I'll try to do what I can to help. But yeah, I think sometimes I'm like very overwhelmed. You know what I mean? I have to just shut off sometimes.
Dude, we're in this together, man. That's why I'm telling you, like, anything I can do to help you out. And that's the whole point of us building these community things, working with other content creators, bringing in different things to bring different elements, because you've been able to help add value to what I've been doing with my channel with the NESARA, GESARA stuff in our conversations. And I really liked the one we did with Shadowgate just before this. And then you inviting me on to talk about something that I'm passionate about. I don't call myself an expert, but I'm very knowledgeable. And Charlie Ward's going to have me on his channel to do the same thing. And I think by us doing things like this, and then me, you, and Charlie doing conversations with other people, it's building that community. And that's why I would really like for everybody who's watching these videos, no matter how, you're subscribing to all of our channels, that you're smashing that like button, commenting, because when you do that, when you participate in each and every one of our channels, you're allowing for other people to be able to see the information. That's how YouTube works. The more popular it is with the interactions, the more that it's algorithm friendly. So
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
helps us all out when you do that. That's if everybody's got a role to play in this. We're in this together. Whatever your role is, even if it's just subscribing and liking and commenting and sharing videos, that's a very important role.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
how our voices get out, is by people listening and sharing.
Yeah, so yeah, again, I just want to say this. With this video here, it will be posted in a group. So I like to have this back and forth with a lot of my subscribers. So what I'll do is when I post this in a group, if people have questions that they want to answer, please ask them. You can leave the questions in the comment section on YouTube or in the Facebook group. I did that one time about gold and silver, and it literally was like 233 questions. I was like, all right, let's go.
Well, make sure you tag me in it, because I'm in your group. So tag me in it. And that way, if anything is, I'll take note of it too and try to write down some of the questions. And that way, some of the ones that are repetitive, the ones that people are asking more frequently, we'll definitely cover. And then we'll kind of go through the list. But I think that cryptocurrency can be pretty damn complicated if you don't know what you're doing. But if you've got somebody that can help kind of guide you in a better direction to help save you some time. And then the other thing I try to let people know is all this information is available for free. You can find it if you have the time to research. If you don't have the time to research, I do offer consulting. It's not financial advice. It's more of like tech support and getting you started with the basics, kind of a little bit like what we were talking about here. But some people don't have the time, but if you do, all of it's available for you for free. And I encourage you to do your own research.
Yeah, love the idea.
Well, thanks again, Pimpy.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you coming aboard. Nice seeing you again. All right, you guys. So again, we'll try to do these more often. We want some back and forth on here. We're trying to do what we can to help,
You just cut out. I think you muted yourself by mistake.
What happened?
You just muted yourself by mistake.
No, somebody tried to call in and it mutes it automatically. So my mistake. So what I was going to say was this, that is, again, we want to have this back and forth with you guys and try to do what we can to make things much simpler for you is what we want to do.
Most definitely.
All right. Want to close off with anything?
Nah, I think everybody knows who I am and, knows how to find me, and I know I'll be back, and, people can definitely comment questions. And I hope that with your help, I hope that I was able to keep this as simple as possible and give people a basic explanation about decentralization, centralization, Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, the differences of them, and what people should and shouldn't do. I think I've laid it out there pretty well. So I'd like to get some feedback.
Well, I think we laid the groundwork. Yeah, well, like I said, we laid the groundwork. So once we post this, we'll see. Once we start going back and forth with the people, then from there, that's when you'll start, cool. Building a, you know what I mean, a better understanding of what they're looking for.
Exactly.
So I appreciate it. Thank you, sir. Thank you for having me. Yeah.
Well, thanks for having me.
All righty, sir. You have a good one.
All right, stop recording.
Okay.
I won't let you go. I'll text you back here. What I want to do is let these videos render out, and then I'll upload them to WeTransfer, send them to you directly. Those Shadowgate one, I'll upload on my channel as well.
Sure.
And then the one we just recorded, I'll let you just put that up on your channel as is.
Yeah.
And I
the
think
thing with cryptocurrencies, that man, there's so many questions. It's too easy to go in 50 different directions. So once we start getting questions from people, that's how we'll know what direction to go into. Because it's hard not to get. You start talking about one thing. I was
trying to reel it back in and not get too off, and just try to keep it as centered around those simple ideas. And then, I think that also not only just the questions and comments that people leave, but having just like I had to do with shows, having a show about a specific topic helps to keep it on track alive. Now, if you're talking about Q and you say NESARA, GESARA, that's leaving a fucking playground tangents that we have to somehow circle back around or just keep going wherever we're going. So
it's tough. It's tough. All righty, sir. I appreciate it.
Well, thanks again, man.
We'll talk again soon.
All right, late.